And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at Marvel Villainous. Now, Marvel Villainous is a sequel to Disney Villainous. Disney Villainous was a game in which you play, and you still can, there's various sets out there, where you'll play the different Disney villains that are out there trying to stop each other from completing your task. Marvel Villainous is the same thing, except you're one of the Marvel villains. Now, these Marvel villains are all ones who have or are about to appear in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but they're also from the comic books with the different heroes and things. And in this game, there's 5 different villains that you can see. You can see Thanos here in the box, and you are trying to accomplish a specific goal before your opponents do. Meanwhile, sending heroes and stuff to get in each other's way. Here's how it plays. In this game, you're going to play one of 5 villains: Taskmaster, Killmonger, Thanos, Hela, or Ultron. Now, it is a little odd, the power difference here. We have Thanos, and arguably Hela and Ultron are almost as powerful as Thanos. Taskmaster and Killmonger are just not in the same group. They're cool bad guys. They're certainly interesting, but in this game, they're kind of all the same. Each of these people comes with a figure that represents them. They're going to come with a full player board. This is only half the board. The board is going to open up like this, and I'll show you more about that in a bit. You'll have your own deck of cards. You'll have some fate cards. Now, these fate cards are tied to each character. You'll see them in the bottom corner, but they're going to be mixed with a general deck of fate cards. So you have Thor and Vision, Captain Marvel, Nick Fury, Falcon, Hulk, Hawkeye, She-Hulk, Black Widow, I'm pretty sure Captain America, Iron Man, Captain America. So they will be in every game. But, like, for example, if you're playing with Thanos, Gamora, Adam Warlock, and other people are also going to be in the deck. And there might be other things. For example, when Thanos plays, and particularly, he'll change the entire game because the Infinity Stones are in play. And then some characters have special things, like Hela has soul counters, Killmonger has a couple tiles, Ultron has some upgrade tiles, and you'll put these in play, and each character has a villain guide, and this villain guide will explain how to do the setup. The villain guide also tells you a little bit about strategy and what you need to do, and explains some of your cards in your deck. Here, for example, is the starting setup for Taskmaster, who's probably the simplest of the characters to play. So you have the board unfolded. You'll have Taskmaster's pawn on him. Each player is going to start with a starting hand of 4 cards from their deck, and you might start with some power depending on what player you are. And so once players are ready to go, they're just going to take turns going around the table till someone meets their objective. Each person has a different objective. Taskmaster is to have 4 allies, each with 5 or more strength, and each at a different location. So they're going to need some allies. Let's see if we have an ally here with 5 strength. No, not to start out with, but hopefully we can find them in our deck and get them out on the board. Now, on a player's turn, they're going to take their villain and move it to a different spot than where it's at right now. And then you're going to take all the actions on that spot. Now, as the game goes on, other players will be playing heroes on you, and when they play them on you, they may block some of the icons on a spot, so you'll have fewer icons when you go to that spot. And you yourself will have the opportunity to play allies on different spots, like there's the Black Ant, or maybe Diamondback you can play here, and they're going to help your side. Here's what the different symbols do. If you choose these symbols, they're going to give you power tokens. Power tokens will be used to play cards and other things. The number inside just shows you how many power tokens you get. You have play a card. There are various cards you can play. I already mentioned playing an ally. So here's Crossbones, for example, and he costs 3 power to play, and you'll stick him in one of your locations. You can have more than one person in a location. You can just play an effect here. It says relocate up to 3 allies that you control. I can move them to different spots. An item here, a training dummy, which I can play out on the board, and then later on, using a different symbol, this symbol here, I can activate this, and when I activate it, I can place a strength token on an ally I control at this location. Placing a strength token on top of an ally is going to help me get them to strength 5 so that I can win the game. And so you're going to be using those. You're also you can use this symbol here, relocate, to move an ally from one location to another. And then you're going to play the vanquish card. If there is a good guy at your spot, you can fight them with the ally as long as your power is the same. So it might be pretty hard to fight Thor here, who has a power of 5, but if I have enough strength, I can do that, but I'll have to discard the ally or allies who fought that hero and get rid of the hero too. You can also play fate cards. It shows the lightning bolt here. That simply draws the top card from the combined fate deck, and you're going to play that on someone else. So I might draw solo and stick them on somebody else. Of course, other people will be playing those cards on me. And finally, you can discard cards. You can discard as many cards you want from your hand. That way, at the end of your turn, when you draw up cards, you'll be able to fill your hand up, hopefully with cards that will help you out. All right, we took a look at Taskmaster. We're going to take a look now quickly at the other 4 villains. First, we have Killmonger here. Killmonger starts with a pile of missions that they have to go through. Defeating Claw, Challenge for the Throne, Control the Mines are lost. They're going to have to go through those. They have, I think they have the coolest artwork in the game, from the Armored Rhino. They have some of these really cool special characters. The artwork, I don't know, I just find this artwork to be fantastic. And of course, in the good guy pile, they have the Black Panther and Shuri and just different characters. So that's kind of cool. They're probably the simplest to play after Taskmaster. Hela is trying to have a combination of 8 allies and soul marks. Soul marks she's going to get usually by defeating the good guys at Odin's Vault. So she's all about going to Odin's Vault. And of course, she has some cool characters too. Fenris Wolf, Midgard Servant. So again, you know, I talked about how much I like the artwork on the one, but I think the artwork on all of them. Of course, she has to fight the good guys. Now, Thor's in every deck, so Thor will always show up, but these are some of the ones specific to going up against her. Ultron has to go through a specific set of specialties each before he can do the final one, which is the Age of Ultron. Each one has a very specific thing that needs to be done. Remove 2 sentries from your domain. You must remove a duplicate sentry with 2 impervious allies attached to it. So he has very specific things. Once they're done, now he has upgrades and he's going to get more powerful until he gets to Age of Ultron, where he will win the game. He has a bunch of robot cards that are going to be helping him out. And fighting against some of the... Hey, Wasp didn't make the main deck, but her, Mockingbird and Wonder Woman and Hank Pym are all going to be fighting against Ultron. Thanos changes the game completely. All these Infinity Stones are going to start out on the board, but they don't start with Thanos. In fact, other villains, likely that's what's going to happen, are going to grab them, and once the villain gets these, they're going to have specialties that they're going to be able to use. And this specialty is going to increase and make that ally for that specific villain better. And Thanos is going to have to go around and confront these to take them back. Now, Thanos is very powerful and can definitely pull it off, but he's going to have to get all 6 of these stones. So this is one of the most direct confrontational things that can happen in this game, in the Villainous series so far, where Thanos is just going to be running around trying to steal the stones from everybody else. Everybody else wants the stones because, hey, they're useful and can add to them. But Thanos definitely changes the entire game. If Thanos is in the game, it's going to have a very different feel completely. The card artwork is fantastic. As I said, I just really like how all the artwork looks. It's really good. It's comic booky, obviously. It's made to look like the movies to some degree, but not completely. It's very comic booky, more so than movies, although all these characters have been in the movies for the most part. The card quality is okay. The different tiles and everything, I like those. I've always enjoyed that they use these more of a symbology rather than an actual figure for the different characters. Each character looks really good. And again, Villainous has these amazing villain guides which explain everything about each character. So if you've never played before, they're really great and they help out quite a bit. Everything fits inside a plastic insert. And the game also comes with this completely unnecessary but kind of cool thing that holds all the power tokens. Before we start here, obviously the first question that people who like Disney Villainous are these games compatible? They're really not meant to be played together at all. I suppose if you use Thanos possibly, and he had his own deck. But the main difference is there's one deck here of good guys. In fact, one thing about Disney Villainous is, as a villain, you never enter the other person's universe. So as cool as it might be to think of the Queen of Hearts walking into Aladdin and fighting against Jafar, it doesn't really happen. While here, there's definitely the same people in each universe. This is one shared universe that's just split up into different sections. So they're not really compatible. I would also say in this particular game, playing with Thanos is so different than playing without him. There's much more direct confrontation, and if you're playing Villainous, you almost want Thanos in the game. Also, everyone wants to be Thanos. It's not that he's easier to win with than the other players. He's definitely not, but it changes the game so dramatically. Now, the idea of being a villain and using heroes to fight each other is good. Disney Villainous is one of those games that I really push for because a lot of people love Disney, don't play a lot of board games, and I really like the idea of jumping in and playing against each other. So when I heard about Marvel Villainous, I was even more excited because the Marvel Universe is my favorite intellectual property. I love Marvel a lot. Yet, this doesn't really do it for me. It's okay. I mean, the artwork is astounding. The gameplay is pretty close to Disney Villainous, so where's my problem? And I think my problem is they upped the complexity, I think, of the game, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but the luck and everything that came with Disney Villainous is still there. Now, yes, I'm disappointed that you can't mix and match them. I can live with that, though, not a huge deal. But it felt like explaining all these rules for Thanos and then mixing that with Hela and Ultron, and there's a lot of different rules going on, and all these cards and the shared deck, and there's a lot of setup and takedown, but the gameplay itself is really simple. And I don't know that that matches as well as it did in Disney Villainous, where the complexity was lower and the gameplay was still the same level of simplicity, but they made it easier to jump into. That being said, I don't think it's a bad game. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it. It's fun to be these villains, and it's kind of weird because in a Villainous game, you also feel like you are the hero because, hey, here's Iron Man going up against Killmonger, take him out, Iron Man, and I'll deal with my own villainous things over here, haha. But you also feel like you are the hero sending him at everybody else. It's a very asymmetrical game. The 5 different characters have a very different feel, not necessarily from things that we've seen in the past. Some of these characters are really close to Disney Villainous characters. There's a Disney Villainous character that has to accomplish missions. There's a Disney Villainous character that has to get a bunch of stuff in one spot. So Thanos is the one that's very different, very direct confrontational, and adds a lot of rules to the game. So it's a fine product. It looks cool. It's going to appeal to people like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It just, for me, the ratio of complexity to how simple and lucky the game is doesn't work as well as it does in Disney Villainous, therefore making me not want to play this one as much, even though I like the Marvel Universe that much. I would play it. Not a bad game. A lot of interesting things involved with it. It's also a little longer than I think it should be. Maybe a game could run to 90 minutes, and I feel like that's too long for this style of game. But your mileage may vary. It's certainly, if you want it to be Thanos and Ultron, they definitely do a good job at bringing that thematic notion to life. And so you can check that out in Marvel Villainous. I'm Tom Vasel. We'll see you next time on the Dice Tower. Dice Tower Judgment. Marvel fans will probably like it.